Everyone got this completely wrong. For years, pilots believed one thing about safety, but what I found completely flipped that idea upside down. For years, aviation had this quiet rule that nobody questioned. If it's certified, it's safer. That was it. No debate. Aircraft like Cessna's built that trust over decades. Reliable, proven, almost untouchable. And anything outside that system, especially home-built planes, was instantly seen as risky. Not serious, not safe. And honestly, it made sense at the time. Because when you hear home-built, you don't picture advanced engineering. You picture mistakes. You imagine shortcuts. You assume something somewhere was compromised. Like, there's just no way this could match a certified aircraft, let alone be better. But then something started to shift. Not overnight, not loudly, just slowly. Quiet improvements that most people didn't even notice. Newer aircraft weren't just trying to be cheaper anymore. They were becoming smarter, more efficient, more intentional in how they were designed. And that's where things start to feel a little uncomfortable. Because now, the question isn't as simple as it used to be. The aircraft everyone trusted by default might not automatically be the safest option anymore. And that idea? It's hard to accept. Because it challenges years of assumptions, years of thinking we already had the answer figured out. So now you're left with a different kind of question. What if safety isn't just about certification? What if it's about something else entirely? And to really understand that, you have to look closer. The first thing that hits you isn't what you expect. No old leather smell, no cramped, awkward layout. Instead, everything just makes sense. The space feels intentional, like someone actually sat inside and thought, how do we make this usable? You've got real legroom, not the kind they promise in brochures, actual room where you're not fighting your passenger for space. Shoulder room feels natural. Headroom. You're not hunched over like you're apologizing to the ceiling. And then there's the seats. Properly shaped. Supportive. Not those thin, stiff cushions that make you question your life choices mid-flight. But here's the part that really stands out. The doors. Full sliding doors on both sides. No climbing over wings. No awkward twisting. You just get in like a normal human being. And that small detail, it changes everything. Because suddenly, this doesn't feel like a budget airplane anymore. And that's the weird part. If they didn't cut corners here, then where did they? Because something doesn't add up yet. And the moment you sit in the front, that question only gets bigger. Wait, you're watching right now but not subscribed to the channel. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button so we can move on with the video. You did. Okay, cool. Now back to the video. You slide into the pilot seat, and for a second, it doesn't even feel like an airplane. It feels modern. No clutter, no confusing maze of gauges, just a clean display right in front of you, showing exactly what you need, exactly where you expect it. Speed, altitude, engine data, all of it just clicks instantly. And that matters more than people think. Because in aviation, confusion isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. But here, there's no guessing, no second guessing. Your eyes move naturally. Your hands fall exactly where they should. The controls respond immediately, not delayed, not filtered, just direct. And then there's the visibility. Big windows, open views. You're not peeking through tiny gaps trying to spot traffic. You can actually see what's happening around you, clearly. And this is where it starts getting uncomfortable for older aircraft. Because suddenly, you realize this isn't just about comfort anymore. This is about awareness, and awareness is safety. But even then, that's not the real advantage yet, because what's under the hood changes the game even more. At first glance, the numbers don't sound impressive. 141 horsepower, not exactly something that screams performance. And if you compare that to something like a Cessna, it almost feels underwhelming. But then, you look closer? This isn't an old-school engine. It's fuel-injected, computer-controlled, designed in a completely different era. And instead of brute force, it focuses on efficiency. And suddenly, everything shifts. You're cruising at speeds that put you right next to aircraft costing way more, around 185 miles per hour, while burning just a fraction of the fuel, about 8.5 gallons per hour. That's insanely low, and it changes how you think about flying, because now range isn't just about how far the plane can go, it's about how practical it is to actually fly it regularly. And then there's altitude. 18,000 feet, high enough to get above weather, above traffic, above problems. But here's the thing. Speed and altitude alone don't make an aircraft safer. In fact, sometimes they do the opposite. So, what actually matters? That answer shows up the moment the wheels leave the ground. This is where everything changes. Because numbers on paper, they don't tell you how an airplane feels. And feeling is everything when things don't go as planned. And right away, you notice something. It's calm, not twitchy, not nervous. It doesn't feel like it's waiting for you to mess up. It just holds steady. Smooth inputs, predictable responses. Everything feels connected, like the airplane actually listens to you. And that matters more than speed ever will. Because when things go wrong, you don't need a fast airplane. You need a forgiving one. The stalls? Gentle, predictable. You get warning. Time to react. Not some sudden drop that catches you off guard. Takeoff and landing? Short distances, which means more options, more airports, more ways out if something doesn't go as planned. And this is the kind of behavior that quietly saves lives. Not flashy features, not raw power, just stability and predictability. But here's where things get interesting. Because if this is what a budget aircraft can do, then what about something like a Cessna T206, the aircraft everyone trusts? And more importantly, where does that one actually fall short? And this is where it gets interesting, because now we bring in the aircraft everyone trusts, the Cessna T206.
We're cleared to land. Number 224 clear to land, trajectory 38.
On paper, it's a beast, massive, useful load. Over 1,400 pounds. You can fill the tanks completely and still carry 4 full-size adults, bags, gear, no compromises. That kind of flexibility? It's exactly why pilots love it. And then there's the power. 310 horsepower. Turbocharged. Climbing through altitude like it doesn't even care. Even up high. It just keeps pulling. 850 feet per minute, fully loaded. That's not normal. For a second, it feels like this comparison is over before it even started. Because how do you compete with that kind of capability? And honestly, most people wouldn't even question it. Bigger engine, more power, more payload. Must be safer, right? But here's the part nobody really talks about. All that extra capability doesn't always mean better outcomes. In fact, sometimes it creates a different kind of problem. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because the real difference between these aircraft isn't what they can do, it's what they actually do in the real world. But here's the twist, and this is where things start to shift. That power? It comes at a cost, around 20 gallons per hour in cruise. Compare that to the Sling, and suddenly you're burning more than double the fuel just to stay in the air. And it's not just fuel. Everything gets heavier, more complex, more systems, more things that need maintenance, more things that can go wrong. And when they do, it's not cheap. And then there's size. A bigger airplane sounds great, until you realize it limits where you can go. Longer runways, fewer small airports, fewer easy outs if something unexpected happens. And this is the part most pilots don't think about early on. Flexibility. Because safety isn't just about power, it's about options. And sometimes, a smaller, simpler airplane gives you more of them. Now imagine this. You've got all this performance, all this capability, but you're only using a fraction of it most of the time. So the question becomes, are you paying for safety or just carrying unused potential? And that question leads to something even more revealing. Because what happens in real flights tells a completely different story. This is where the illusion breaks. Because on paper, range, speed, payload, they all look incredible. But in reality, most flights don't look like that at all. Think about it. How often are you actually flying at max range? 5-6 hours straight? Almost never. Not because the airplane can't, but because you can't. Fatigue kicks in. You need breaks. Your body forces you to stop. So instead, most flights sit in that 2 to 3 hour window. Maybe 400, 500 nautical miles. And suddenly, that massive range advantage, it doesn't really matter anymore. Same with payload. Yeah, the 206 can carry a lot. But how often are you actually loading it to the limit? Every flight? Probably not. And this is where the Sling quietly takes the lead. Because it's built around what pilots actually do, not what looks impressive on paper. Lower fuel burn means you fly more. Shorter runways mean more airport options. Simpler systems mean less stress before and during the flight. And all of that starts adding up. Because when flying becomes easier, more accessible, more frequent, something important happens. You get better. And that might be the biggest safety advantage of all. But we're not there yet. Because the real turning point comes down to something most people completely overlook. And this is where the story takes a turn most people don't expect. Because safety isn't just about the airplane, it's about how often you actually use it. Now think about the numbers for a second. The Sling, around $150 per hour to operate. Fuel, maintenance, everything included. Manageable, predictable, something you can actually afford to fly regularly. Now, compare that to something like the 206. Fuel alone jumps dramatically. Maintenance gets heavier. Every hour in the air costs more. And slowly, without realizing it, you start flying less. Not because you don't want to, but because every flight feels like a decision. And that's where the gap starts to form. Because flying less means practicing less. And practicing less means your skills don't stay as sharp as they should. Now imagine the opposite. A plane that's affordable enough that you don't hesitate. You go up more often. You stay current. You stay confident. You stay ahead of the airplane instead of reacting to it. And this is the part people miss. The safest pilots aren't the ones with the most powerful airplanes. They're the ones who fly the most. So now the question isn't just about the aircraft anymore, it's about what kind of pilot each one creates. And that leads to the answer that flips everything.
Sandusky traffic, Sling 915 Mike Whiskey, departing runway 10 will be leaving the pattern towards the northwest, Sandusky.
So here's the truth. And it's not what most people expect. Safety isn't just built into the machine, it's built into the experience. And when you look at it that way, things start to line up differently. The Sling is simpler. Fewer complex systems, fewer points of failure. Everything is modern, intuitive, easy to read. You're not fighting the airplane, you're working with it. And that reduces something huge, mental load. Because in critical moments, it's not just about what the airplane can do, it's about how quickly you can respond. And then there's the flying itself. It's predictable, forgiving, stable. The kind of aircraft that gives you time when things don't go perfectly. And time is everything in aviation. Now combine that with frequency. Lower costs mean more flights. More flights mean sharper instincts, better decisions, faster reactions. And suddenly, safety isn't coming from horsepower or payload. It's coming from consistency, from familiarity, from confidence built over time. And this is where everything flips. Because the question was never which airplane is more capable. The real question is, which airplane makes you a better pilot every single time you fly? And when you look at it that way, that cheap Homebuilt doesn't look so risky anymore. In fact, it might be doing exactly what the more expensive one can't. And honestly, this is what makes aviation so fascinating. It's not always about the biggest engine or the highest price tag. Sometimes, it's about what works in the real world, day after day. So now I'm curious, would you choose raw capability, or something that actually makes you safer over time? Let me know what you think, because this debate isn't going away anytime soon.